I had the choice of either to keep them or to let them go. I chose to keep them because they were outstanding. In addition, you got to know how to make a decision, whether or not you need to make a decision quickly or whether or not you need to give it a little time. See if it's going to work itself out or if it's something you need to pursue immediately. You know, you kind of almost get that automatic, I hate to say this, but you almost get that automatic loyalty with the people you hire.
Principal. Today we have our second part of the interview with Jeff Paul, principal at Smith Elementary in Owasso, Oklahoma. In this episode, he talks about how he handles the stress of being a principal, how he thinks you can become a transformative principal, something special in his office, and who the people to follow on Twitter are. Talks about how vital Twitter has been for his growth and learning as a principal, and he's got some suggestions of people that you should follow. So make sure you do follow them and go learn from all those other people. I'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, paperlessprincipal.com. Please go to that website, paperlessprincipal.com, to learn how you can become a more efficient and effective principal by streamlining your workflow and making your life easier. Here's our interview. So you have 14 probationary teachers. Does that mean that you've hired all those 14 teachers?
2 of them were existing when I came here. I had the choice of either to keep them or to let them go. I chose to keep them because they were outstanding. So they stayed, but they were not yet at career status. So they're still considered probationary. So the other 12 active hired. So in the last couple of years, I've hired 12 teachers.
Okay. And so you have about 26, 27 teachers on staff then?
We have about 30,
Okay.
31 regular certified, or I should say certified teachers.
Okay. So that's about how big our school is, like I said before. So that's about half. We had about that half that turnover my first year here as well.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, it does make a big difference when you can hire your own people and they're people that you've talked about your vision with and what you expect and what you want to have happen in the school.
Yeah.
So what are some other things that you think have shaped you into being the principal that you are now?
Well, I think a lot of it has to deal with the innate leadership qualities that I already possessed. You know, a lot of what I was already bringing my personality. So I kind of have, and so, you know, you come in with that foundation already, you know, in addition to everything read and learn about, you know, of course, it's like being, though those things change, you know, you come in with an idealistic view of how things go, how it should go, I should say.
Right.
I don't know. In fact, that is if they work.
Yeah.
And you wake up and go, hey, I was wrong. And, you know, so I would say last year was definitely an eye-opener in that regard. Because, again, there was that trust issue and the fact that I simply didn't know everything. I still don't by any means. I know a lot more than I did last year, but obviously have a long way to go. But that was a hard part for me is because I didn't know everything. And a lot of people, you're the principal, these answers. You should know it when I don't. That, in turn, also causes a little bit of mistrust because you've got to be able to make decisions. In addition, you got to know how to make a decision, whether or not you need to make a decision quickly or whether or not you need to give it a little time. See if it's going to work itself out or if it's something you need to pursue immediately. So those are a lot of things that my leadership changed any. I can't say that it really has. I think I'm still pretty true to what I've come in with. I think what I'm doing is I'm learning to improve my skills slowly but surely, looking at my and saying to myself, okay, you're not doing this right. You figure out a way to make it better. And I was very frank with a lot of my staff. In fact, I would ask them, what can I do better? Tell me what I can do better. Because, you know, communication at first was a rough challenge because you're not communicating simply with 1 or 2 teachers that you were used to communicating with. All of a sudden now your communication base has grown exponentially because instead of talking to maybe a team of for 90 plus people. You've got to know how to get the word out, how not to misinterpret things, how to make the right information. And that was a challenge. And communication is still a tough thing. I think that's tough probably for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But that's is to really focus.
Yeah, Jeff, it's kind of scary saying, I was wrong, I don't know, and what can I do better? How did you overcome that fear?
You got to realize you're going to make mistakes. In fact, you got to tell, and I even told the staff, I said, I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to. I said, I'm just going to. I said, but guys, my door is open. Come and talk to me. I need to know what's going on. And, I had many a teacher who did come in and say, you know what, you shouldn't have done this. You shouldn't have done that. Or, have you ever thought of doing this, doing that? Bring things to my attention, and they know that I'm listening, and they know that I do something about it. That buys you trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I did a good job at that. And it's not easy to say you're sorry. And I've had to do that. But I'm not doing that. Is that my favorite thing to do? No. But if I'm going to try to play macho man and say I'm not sorry or own up, then nothing gets resolved. Nothing gets fixed. And you don't move on that way.
Yeah, that is totally true. And I think that idea of teachers being able to come and say to you, hey, you shouldn't have done it this way or whatever, and feel like you're actually going to respond in a positive way and say, you know what, you're right. That is so huge. And I just feel that's so difficult for any kind of leader to understand and recognize, because as a leader, you want to make the right decisions. You want to make the right call. You want to be confident in yourself. And I think people sometimes forget that by being confident in yourself, you recognize that you have limitations and you can't be Superman or a superhero. You've got to take it back a step and realize you can't do everything by yourself, and you got to reach out to people to help you, and especially for people to give you feedback and for them to feel like their feedback is taken. That's a pretty powerful thing, to be sure.
It is, and it's definitely been a challenge trying to make happen, and I'm still working on that, and I probably always will. And, and that's been the harder part, is establishing that trust with the staff that was already here. You kind of almost get that automatic, I hate to say this, but you almost get that automatic loyalty with the people you hire, because
right.
you got to hire them, and those are the people, they're yours, so to speak. I will tell you, though, the staff that was here before I took over, they're amazing. Their hearts are so big, they love their kids, and I will tell you that they are wonderful. And so I could understand why it's be a little leery about someone coming in and all of a sudden taking over. That's got to be hard on them too.
Yeah, for sure. So what are some of the things that you do to make your life a little bit easier? Being a principal is a difficult job. It's stressful. There's pressures coming from every single angle. What are some things you do to relieve some of that stress and relieve the pressure of being a day-to-day principal?
Sure. Well, first of all, you got to have a supportive spouse. If you don't have that, you're not going to succeed in this job.
Or in your marriage, one of the two.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're married to your job, or you're going to be married to your wife. And that was a hard factor getting, and it's still kind of hard. You're always going to have these late nights. It's like now it's 5:30. My wife's asking me when I'm coming home.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, but the thing is that she understands that what I'm doing is important, and I've been able to relay that to her. She understands that this is my job. My family comes first, and she knows that too. And that's the thing. My family always comes first, and I try to always make them feel important, because if they know they're important, then they understand these nights that I'm away, or if I'm at another meeting or those type of things. They get that, and they understand that what I'm doing is important. So first and foremost, I think that's a big part of being successful. And the other part, which I've found to be very, very important, especially this year, is I've been exercising a lot more now. Last year I didn't exercise much at all, and maybe on the weekends that was about it. And so now I'm forcing myself to go at least a couple times every week after school. I'll stay here for a little bit, and then I'll just go work out. And that helps a tremendous amount too, because it gives you to keep going. And so you got to have some kind of outlet. So for me, you just got to know at the end of the day, yeah, I'm the principal of my school, but I'm more than that when I leave. I'm not just the principal. I'm a lot more than that. And sometimes you got to remember that, especially after a hard day dealing with a difficult parent or a student. And, at the end of the day, you're human, and you're going to go home, and you're going to be the best husband, father, brother, son, whatever you can be when you go home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to add to that, also to wake up the next morning with the trials and stress behind you, and to not let them carry over into the next day. And I think that's why you go into work out after school and going, making sure your family understands that they're the most important. I think that's really vital as well.
Absolutely, because you got to put them first, because if you don't, this job will consume you. It'll swallow you up. And it's a great job. It's a rewarding job. It's a very, very hard job. But yeah, it'll get the best of you if you let it. I'm finding that very quickly. And, I'm a very positive person, so, it's sometimes hard for me to deal with negativity because I take it personally. I don't want anybody upset. I hate that. It really frustrates me when people are upset, whether it's a parent or a teacher. I don't like that, and sometimes you take those things personally because you want everybody to be happy. And, you just want people to know that, yeah, they can do it. And that's always been my motto, yeah, this is hard, but I can do it.
Yeah, that's great. I love the idea of being able to do hard things. It's one of the things kids often complain to me, well, Mr. Jones, this is hard. And I say, yeah, it is, but you can do it. It's all right. You can do it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, please. I'll let you talk.
I was going to say, Philippians 4:13, that's my motto right there. That's how I live my life,
You got that memorized? Because I don't.
Oh, yeah. I can do everything through Jesus Christ. Give strength, absolutely. I say that every day. When things get tough, I always say that to myself. I can do this. Yeah. And it'll make me stronger. I can do this. I know it's hard, but I can do this.
That's right. That's awesome. Appreciate you sharing that. I think that's so vital to have something that reminds you every day where your strength comes from and how vital that is to recognize that and having a scripture verse that you memorize and remind yourself of. I think that's great.
Absolutely.
So I asked 2 questions at the end of each of my interviews, and you've probably heard them if you've listened to the other ones. The first one is, what's something that someone can do today to be a transformative principal like you?
Well, and that's a tough one. First, you got to be learned. You have to know as much as your teachers know. You can't afford to just simply be a manager of a school. You have to be an instructional coach. I think that is the most important part of my job, is being an instructional coach. Now, I'm not going to say I know everything, but I'm sure going to find the people who do and find the resources they need to be successful. But gone are the days of, past education philosophies and things of that sort. We've got to move forward. We've got to be prepared for Common Core, and I got to be the one who's helping to lead that ship. I'm not going to know everything, and I'm not going to pretend to. Again, that goes back to making sure as a transformative principal, it's getting the right people on the bus. The principal is always going to drive, but you got to get the right people on the bus so that you can take the bus where it needs to go, getting the feedback and directions from them. That's a lot of what they say with, Jim Collins and Todd Whitaker and others out there who are so vital to teaching how to be an effective leader. So you have to be learned. You can't just simply just say, okay, I'm a principal now, everyone should just do what I say.
Right.
Can't do that. You have to be the one who's actively engaged and involved with what's going on. You've got to know as much as you can. You can't stop learning.
Right. So give us some tips of how you continue learning and what others can do to learn.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, you already know, have a PLN, and I'll tell you, Twitter really is a source of fuel for me because, granted, it's not the same as going to a workshop or anything like that, but it's your chance to connect with other individuals who share the same passions and desires and difficulties and experiences that you do. They're the same people, and they're out there sharing ideas and talking and learning. I've learned so much from so many of these people that I'm following, such as yourself. And, to me, that's refreshing because, you know what? Not one tweet have I seen has been negative, They're generally, usually very positive. They're informational. I feel very relaxed going onto there because I know I'm going to learn something. I'm going to hear something that's going to be useful that I can share with my staff even. So I do a lot of this. A lot of things that I share with my staff, they come from Twitter. I copy and paste these links. I'll send them right out to them. And so, they appreciate that too because they know I'm looking for them too. But I'd say that's a huge thing right there. It's just having yourself a PLN.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've been on Twitter for a long time, and I was amazed when I first got on with so many educators that are on there and how much they share and give and talk about. And that was the impetus for me starting this podcast, is being able to share something that's a little bit more in depth with people that you don't always get. I mean, I've been following you for I don't know how long, but long enough that I've liked what you've been saying, and I keep thinking, man, I wish I could talk to Jeff more and find out more about why he thinks that and what he's doing, and so this is a perfect way for me to be able to do that and go a little bit more in depth with people that I admire and know just on the internet in 140 characters. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. The other thing is you got to be careful who you pick to follow. I don't follow anyone who puts a bunch of junk up about their personal lives and anything like that. I don't follow people like that. I'm hardcore looking at their principals, administrators, educational leaders, any of those type who are sharing, who are view this as being serious, and that's fine if other people follow other people. That's up to them. But for me, it's purely, it really is professional development in an easy format.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So who are some of the people that you follow that I'm putting you on the spot? I didn't prepare you for this, but who's someone that you follow that you think is awesome?
There's so many. Like I said, I follow Todd Whitaker. Principal Jay, she's awesome. She's always got something out there to share. Oh my gosh, there's just so many. I mean, I could just call you, of course. I'm following a whole bunch of people, but I try to be selective as I can of who I follow. But there's so many wonderful people out there. Michael's out there. He's always putting out quotes. His quotes he puts out there. If you need a quote, you just pull him up, and I guarantee that you will find something to go, you know what? Yeah, I like that. I could send that to my staff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm following Green. He's out there, and then I follow other things like Education Week. Those type of things. Of course, right. I follow some of the news channels and such, but I'm looking more at those people. Let's see. Trying to think off the top of my head. Eric. What's Eric's? Eric Sheninger, I think is how you pronounce his last name.
I'm not sure how to pronounce it either. I follow him too.
Yeah, I mean, so he's always putting stuff out there. So I read a lot of what he does, but and I try to participate when I can in some of the chats that go on, like, whether it's a SAT chat or a West Coast SAT chat or anything like that. When I have a chance, I like to do those. So they're always fun to participate in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I haven't done much of those. I did one last night with the Rockstar Principals. Have you followed them?
I haven't done that one.
Yeah, last night was their first one, and so I got in on that a little bit. It was right as I was leaving work and driving home, so I missed a bunch of it. But it's certainly interesting to get involved in those chats. Haven't done that much before personally.
They're fun. They move very fast. That's the only problem with them. They move very fast.
Yeah, for sure. So the last question I ask is, what is something in your office that is really meaningful to you that you use either as a sense of a source of inspiration or just something that's meaningful that's in your office somewhere that somebody might be interested to hear about?
Okay, well, here, let me count for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have 20 pictures of my family in my room.
20?
So
good for you.
I have 20. I'm not kidding. I got 20. A lot of them are in frames and some are just like in poster form type, scrapboard type form. But I got 20 pictures of them. And so that right there it is. I walk in, I see them. They're right there. And so that's my big source of inspiration. That, again, they know me. I'm dad. I'm a husband. I'm not just principal. So they know the real me. Mm-hmm. And so that's always comforting to know that, I'm going to go home and I get to be 100% me. Not to say I'm not here. I try to show people, what they see is what they get with me. There's no front. I try to treat everybody equally with respect. So, I don't put on a show. I don't try to be tougher than I am, but I do at least know that I have a wonderful family to go home to each night.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can tell from how you've been talking that they are super important to you, and that's really great. So I want to thank you again for coming on and interviewing with me. I've really enjoyed getting to know you, and if you want to chat again in a while and talk about some of the other things you've learned that we didn't get to today, I'd be more than happy to do that as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk with you. And I'll tell you, I love my school. I love the staff here. I love the staff that was here last year. I love the staff that's here this year. It's a great school, a great district, and I'm very blessed to be here. So I don't take each day for granted, that's for sure.
I hope you enjoyed that interview with Jeff Paul. It's been an awesome opportunity to talk with him, learn more about how he's doing things out in Oklahoma. If you know of someone who you think is a transformative principal, please drop me a line either on Twitter @JethroJones or send me an email, jethrojones@gmail.com. I'd love to be able to chat with some other people who are amazing, and I'd love to get your recommendations. If you have any feedback, you can also let me know. And be sure to share this podcast with your other principal friends and rate us in iTunes, all that good stuff. See you next week.